Good morning, peeps. We're about to do something that I've never done before, but I was thinking about it for a couple of days, and I decided I'm going to go ahead and try to post a quick instructional video on how to smoke a brisket. This is a big piece of meat, and normally I don't cook one unless it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, but we've got the Labor Day holiday coming up, and I want to do some experimenting, and so I am going to do a brisket. So the first thing that we have to do is take care of the trim. Now, this is the part that I don't like because there's different types of trim. You can have an aggressive trim, you can have a restaurant trim, you can have a backyard trim. But what I'm saying is what's left after you trim the brisket, because you want to give it an aerodynamic shape so that it cooks quickly and that it cooks evenly. And so that's what trimming does. But there's a lot of meat that can be used after the trim. But that's for people that make sausage and people that make hamburger with the trimmings. I don't have any of that equipment. I don't have a meat grinder. So whatever I lose in the trim, that's what's lost. And so you can take, this is about a 14-pound brisket, but after you finish the trim, it may be only about 10 pounds. So that's the thing I don't like about doing briskets when you compare the trim to the actual yield. But that being said, let's go ahead and let's get to the trim, because if you don't trim the brisket properly, you won't have a good cook. So let's go ahead and get to trimming this brisket. First thing is, grab this. First thing is, we want to come in here, get down in here. So, see what we're working with this morning. So you gotta clear this out. Throw this bag away, and let's turn this. Let's get off of this board. I'm going to another board, and we've got a big piece of decal fat that's right there that we're going to have to cut off. But let's go ahead and we'll get started with the trim, and then I'll come back to you once I get to the seasoning part. Now, one of the things that we want to do when we do the trim is we want to remove any excess fat. And on every brisket, now they're all different, but one thing they'll have in common is each one is going to have something that's called a decal. It's a large, big, thick piece of fat right here. It won't render through the cook. I don't care how long you cook it. It won't render. It'll just be a big, fat glob of fat. So we're going to go ahead and take as much of the decal off as we can. Let's come right down here. And that is that. That's part of the decal. Okay. All right, let's do some more trimming up here on the top. We've got some fat there. And the reason that we want to try to skim this fat off is because you want your spices to stick to your meat. And if there's fat, it won't stick to your meat. You gotta be careful with this knife when you're doing this trim. And this is a pretty good brisket. It doesn't have a lot of fat up on the top. We want to take off all of this silver skin and try to get this fat free as we can up here. There's some more right there. Let's take that off. And it doesn't have to be like, get some more of this decal out of here. Big piece of decal fat. I'm turning to the side and angling myself because I don't want to cut myself. All right, we got some more of that off. There's another big piece of fat here up on the top. And when you're taking this fat off, you're always angling your knife up so that you don't gouge, your meat, your brisket. Because if you have a gouge, then you'll have a water pot. Now this trim isn't that bad, because so far, this is a good brisket, and that's why I was trying to get a smaller one instead of a big giant brisket. Now, something else you want to do is right along here, there's a lot of fat, but I want to turn this because I don't know if you can see it. Hold on for a second. Let me grab a pan to put this Let's trim it. Hold on. That's going to be for all of our trim. Okay, now I'm going to come back up here, try to get some more of this off. I don't know if you can see this, but it's thin pieces of fat I'm trimming off. All right, you got to make one cut down here, and what this does is it takes off the side of the meat that was inside the Cairo pack that was kind of grayish and nasty looking. There's nothing wrong with it, but for presentation purposes, you see what I mean when I talk about yield? But now I can turn this and I can see my fat cap running along here. So it lets me know how much I have to trim in the final cut. Also, I've got a piece of fat up here. When I'm trimming this, I'm trying to round my blade. Now see, this is good meat right here. And you can use this for sausage, you can use it for hamburger. I just don't have a grinder. So we can go ahead and take that off. Here's another piece we have to take off here. And this is just, again, excess fat. But let me go ahead and, you see what I mean by yield? Let me go ahead and start doing my work and stop talking so much, and you guys can just watch the trimming process. This is called the fat cap, this portion that you see right there. But that's a lot of fat running along there. And so what we want to do is we want to trim this fat layer down to a quarter of an inch thick. And what that's going to do, it's going to act like a protective barrier during the cook, because the brisket cook is a very, very long cook. Sometimes I do it overnight. Today I'm going to try to run about 8 to 12 hours. But what you want to do is you want to get this fat down to about a quarter of an inch, and it serves as a protective layer, and it'll also begin to render, and it's going to get like a caramelly, yellowy color to it when it really cooks. Great taste, a little sweet flavor to it. So let's go ahead and see, start trimming this. Now it is time to season this brisket, but I got to get on my rubber gloves. I just realized I did the whole trim without my gloves. If you have some nitrite gloves, these things will serve you well when you're prepping a brisket. And so, let me get my hand in here. Goodness, fingers don't want to act right. And then we're going to go ahead and put our seasoning on this brisket. Now remember, I told you that this is a big piece of meat. It takes a lot of seasoning, so don't panic if it seems like I'm putting a lot on. But again, I want to show you guys this. This is your trimmed brisket, and we're going to cook fat side up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to season the lean side first. And I have a whole bunch of seasonings. This is Killer Hogs. This is great. And this is pretty much salt, pepper, garlic. I have another one that I use, SP, salt, pepper, garlic. And then there's some of these that I use sometimes. This is Goldie's barbecue rub, which is a great brisket rub. But today I'm going to kind of keep it simple, and I'm just going to start off with Killer Hogs Texas brisket rub. So let's go ahead and get this thing open. You know what? I almost forgot to do something. Now me, I don't use binders, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to go ahead and use a binder. A binder is, I mean, it can be soy sauce, it can be Worcestershire sauce, it can be mustard, but you slather it over your brisket, and what it does, it makes the spices stick to the meat, which you really want to do, because in your initial part of the cook, when you get started, the meat's taking on a lot of smoke, and what you want to do is you want to build a nice bark on the outside of your brisket. And so that's why you need all of those spices and a good binder to hold it. So hold on one second. Let me grab a binder. Alrighty, this morning I'm going to use mustard, any kind of yellow mustard. Don't worry, you won't taste this when you cook. Slap it all over here. Get a good coating front side, on the side. I don't know why I like doing this, but it's almost therapeutic about rubbing a brisket. Mmm. I get this side off. I'll slap it down so our spices will stick. You have to understand, I still got that hard piece of fat. There's a hard piece of fat right here, but I think it's going to render down. I know it's going to render down from the cook. But again, this is an aggressive brisket trim. I've got all of this down. Now what I'm going to do before I get started, because I've got all kinds of mustard on my hands. I'm going to step over here and wash my hands really quick. I'm a neat cook. I don't like to have junk all over the place and my food looking crazy. So you'll see me sometimes throughout the cook just kind of straightening things up and getting things where they should. Okay, now let's go ahead and get started with this. Again, this is Killer Hog's Texas brisket rub. So let's start here. I know it's going to look like it's a lot, but trust me, we have to cover this whole thing with this rub. And don't worry, again, brisket is a large cut of meat. It will hold this seasoning and handle this seasoning with no pressure at all. And when I do mine, I get a good coating over this because again, when you get done, this is going to be your bark. Now this is meat side, we're going fat side up. So let's take this, let's flip it, and let's get to work here on the other side. Again, copious layers of spices going onto this big chunk of meat. For all of you that say, "No, that's too much spice, that's too much salt," I guarantee you, if you taste it when I get done, bite the tips of your fingers off. Trust me. A lot of people don't like to do brisket because it's a large cut of meat, takes a long time, and you don't want to mess this up because briskets are kind of expensive. Let's see, you want to get spices on all of this on top ends. We're going to come around here, all this spice down. Excuse me. Got that there. Let's flip it up. Let's get this side. Again, we want to thoroughly cover this with this Killer Hogs. And if I'm not mistaken, basically what's in here is salt, pepper, and garlic. Anyway, so you're gonna have a messy meat table when you finish. Again, we're gonna be cooking fat side up. So we want to finish with this right here. And this looks like thoroughly covered beef brisket. Yeah, we've got our biscuit trimmed. We've got it seasoned. The next step is to just prep the smoker. And so here it is. This is your finished beef brisket. I've seasoned it. I've trimmed it. If you see, it's got a nice aerodynamic shape. The air will move over it really quickly. So the next step is to get it on the smoker, and then about 10 and 12 hours, you're gonna see some magic. All right, the next step is getting this brisket on the pit. Again, it's gonna be a long cook, and so we gotta get everything set up. So let's get to that. All righty then, let's go ahead and get this brisket on the pit. Now, if you notice, there's a water pan there below me. That's going to make sure that the brisket stays moist during the entire cook. Like I said, normally I will do this overnight, and it'll be rocking about 10 to 12 hours overnight, and that water pan ensures that your meat won't dry out. And so right now we've got this loaded. We've got our water pan on. One of the things I'm going to do this morning is I am going to use temperature probes, because what you want to do is you want to cook this brisket until it gets to something that's called the stall. And basically the stall, you're not going to be gaining any more temperature. Let me see how I want to do this. I want to take this top one right here, and I'm going to insert that into, let's go this way, into the flat, not this far. Then I'm going to take the other one, my bead probe, and I'm going to put it into the point. Now, this is why I was stressing earlier that you want your brisket to be aerodynamic in the cook, because if it's not aerodynamic in the cook, what you'll have is a big end here and a little end here. But when you look at the trim I did, I've got uniformity all the way around. We're going to take this up until it hits the stall, maybe 160, 167. It all depends, because every brisket is different. So let's go ahead. Let's close this up. We're going to go ahead and start the Rectech, and it is already rocking at 250 degrees. If you look, you can see that the temperature for the meats, on one side is 49, on the other side is 41, and we'll watch that progressively through the cook. And I'll come back again when it's time to wrap. All right, we've been smoking our brisket now for about 4 hours. We put it on at 9 this morning, and I have reached the stall. The bark looks pretty good on the outside. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to take the brisket off of the smoker, and I'm getting ready for the final stage of the cook. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. Some people just leave the brisket out for the entire cook. Some people wrap in aluminum foil. Some people wrap in butcher paper. But I'm trying a new method today. I'm experimenting, and so I'm going to be doing the foil boat method. That way, it leaves the top of the brisket exposed, and I should be able to get a good bark. And so, after we foil boat, we'll put it back on the smoker, and we will leave it there until it reaches a done temp of between 200 and 203 degrees. After that, we'll take it off. We'll wrap it, we'll put it in a cooler or holding oven, and we'll hold it for, you can hold it for 10 hours. But we'll hold it, and then we'll show you some shots when we're ready to serve. So let's go ahead and get this brisket foil boated. It is now time to check on this brisket. We've had it going now. I put it on at 9 this morning. It's 1 o'clock. So I'm gonna go ahead and look at it and see what the bark looks like. So let's see. Okay, it's looking good. Good bark on there. I have a little bit of pooling right on the top. Other than that, this brisket is looking good. We should be ready to wrap. See, you've got moisture on the top of that brisket. Got in the foil boat. Got the probes in. So we just got to close it down and wait until it gets to temp. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your finished project. Again, we did this one for let me see, it's 3 o'clock now, so that's 1,500 hours. We put it on at 9:15, 7. This is a 7-hour cook. We are probe tender. I took it off at 201. I mean, this thing is like butter, but I'm not gonna cut it right now. Again, you can take this, put it in your oven, cover it, put it on the lowest setting that your oven has. Mine is 170. You can literally hold this thing overnight, get up the next day, and then Sunday at 12 or 1 or 2, whenever you get ready to eat, slice it up, and it's gonna be like butter. Let's go ahead and get that money shot. Money shot, baby. That's what it looks like when it's done. I may cut this tonight just so you all can see what it looks like, but it's important that I get a good rest on it first.